welcome to 6 Myth Sundays. And what's gonna happen is every Sunday I'm gonna sit down, do my makeup because I love doing makeup, and I have an abnormally amount of things in my head that I don't even know what to do with all this information. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take a tip from my boy, Shia LaBeouf, and be like, don't you dare let your dreams be dreams. You feel me? So today's myth is gonna have to be doing a lot with one of my absolute favorite things, hands down, in the universe, and that is video games! Okay, yes, of course. Something about video games makes me feel that nothing around me matters. Nothing around me exists, you know? It's just like peaceful. My grandma, she got me introduced to Super Mario at a very young age. I think I was like 4 or 5, and with my hearing impairment, you know, since I was a deaf child, I could never really, I didn't socialize that well. It was a long experience, but that's another story for another day. But something about video games, like, it gave me, like, solace and peace, you know? It allowed me to just really be myself. And something about that was really cool. So, we're gonna talk about one of my favorite characters today. And then we're also gonna talk about the backstory behind that character. Because it's an actually really interesting story. And nobody really starts to think about these things. But I'm here for, please understand, this is just also like my first actual video. So I'm gonna be a nervous wreck and probably forget everything. So video games are up and popping in the late 70s, early 80s. And a video game was created under the inspiration of a book by H.G. Wells called War of the Worlds. You guys might have heard of it. Super popular. So you guys know how the aliens look like octopuses, right? So the octopi, are actually the main basis behind Space Invaders, which was dropped in 1978. So the creation of all these video games was booming and a new experience. So it was really hard to like kind of figure out who belonged to what and blah, blah, blah. So let's get into the very main point. Okay, so I wrote some notes. So if you see me look down, like, don't think I'm just like getting really nervous. I knew I would get nervous, so I wrote notes. So of things I know, because I know a lot of things. Okay, so some MIT dropout around end of 1970, beginning of 1980, they start buying up pinball machines. And I actually love pinball. I have an old Spider-Man pinball machine, and it was super cool. And so when he starts buying up all these things, they start buying up room, and they're making arcades. Yes, you know it, from the arcade girl. My main dream. They flourish it into a beautiful piece of art. And so eventually that this really popular game called Mission Command is making a lot of track, right? So as they're making a lot of effort and they're kind of progressing at this point, something starts to happen, which we all know happens if you play video games. You start to beat the game. You start learning the patterns, you start learning what to do, and eventually, like this one guy, he played for 31 hours on one quarter. 31 hours. Do you understand what that means? That's a full day cycle and then some on one quarter. Like, that has to be ridiculous good. My high school on Space Invaders and all that stuff, not. So what happens when you start to beat the game? Especially when games aren't really as common and buildable as they are now. So what do you do at the beginning of the gaming revolution? Before they tweak it, they realize that Mission Command is bringing about like $600, you know, a week or so. And every 2 weeks, it drops about $200. So, you know, we're making 600 bucks. We're making 400 bucks. We're making 200 bucks. People are beating the game and they're losing interest. Dude, they're like, let's just make it harder. For those of you who don't know, with the arcade games, you can easily just pull the board out, add a kit to it, and then put it back in, and then you have some sort of modification. So when you're doing that, in 1981, they started making the Mission Command kit. It was 2 guys. They roped in some more of their friends, some MIT dropouts, and they're like, yo, let's just create a company, and let's just keep doing this. So that's what they do. And they make the kit, like new colors, new challenges, broader game experience, basically. And when they do this, they were like, okay, we're going to sell it to arcade owners, and they can just pop it in there and then start making more money, which is, you know, in turn going to make us more money. So they sell all these kits to like $295, and I believe they racked up like $250,000. They sold like, oh my god, over like $1,000 or 1,000 kits of experiences. Understand, they're like, why would they make like $250,000 or 100,000? Video games wasn't crazy apparent then. Like, they were just starting out in the United States. I mean, when you think of arcade now, you're thinking of like all these crazy games. When you thought of arcade then, when they dropped Space Invaders, over there, it was so important for that game that a lot of the places were just called Invader House. They're hanging out at some pizza parlor. They take a slice out of the pizza. What do you have when you take a slice out of a pizza? They come up with Pac-Man. Back in the United States, after Pac-Man blows up, they just finished their entire Space Invaders thing. They're trying to get through, you know, the next project. And what happens? They get sued. But hey, you made a video game? So we're gonna fuck. Atari sued the 3 homeboys for $15 million. That is $5 million for the 3 boys each. Can you imagine like how crazy, like, so Atari is coming at them super hard for the Super Mission Command Kit, which is super dumb, but you know, money talks. And that if they lose, like, they're gonna set a precedent that anyone's gonna be able to mess with their games forever. So they settled. They surprised everyone. They're like, screw everything. We just dropped this, and you come work for us. But it was like on the real hush hush, down low. You feel me? So they're like, okay. So as 2 of them are in court battling this, and they win. They come out. Nobody really knows. Everyone knows that just Atari dropped the suit, and that's it. And so they go, okay. Mike's back home, and he finishes the new Pac-Man update. So they realize that, okay, we can't sell this without permission, and we need to figure out how the smart way to do this. So they go to Midway, and they ask, you know, look, we just beat Atari. They didn't. Atari dropped it. And we think we're just gonna beat you too. So all we want is permission to sell this. Well, Midway, being very smart, instead of suing them, are like, yes, of course, this is a great way to keep my game going. Giving me revenue, giving you revenue. So then is born Mrs. Pac-Man. So these 20-something-year-old MIT college dropouts are taking the world by storm in video games and accomplishing literally everything I want to accomplish. And people start to realize, okay, video games, like that's gonna take off, you know. So somebody makes and I can't tell you the name because I'm too nervous to remember all my facts. Somebody makes a knockoff basically of Space Invaders, and it sucked and nobody bought it, and the arcade game just rotted in a warehouse. Well, they didn't really rot, they just kind of sat there collecting dust. What can we do? Let's change the circuitry board, let's change the game, and lo and behold was born Donkey Kong. But in the distance, another villain emerged. Universal Studios was not having it. They were like, hey, your Donkey Kong looks like our King Kong, so we're gonna sue you. So, here we go! Okay, so they go to sue them, and they realize, shit, we're kind of in deep water here, so let's go. A dude is hired, his name is John. Hello, John. And John goes 6,000 miles. I put that way too low, didn't I? Yeah, of course. John goes like 6,000 miles over to prove that Donkey Kong, literally, just people think it means giant ape. So there's like a Donkey Kong car wash. There's like a Donkey Kong like wrestler or some version of that. But there's different things, and everyone believes that it means this. So basically they go back, they prove to Universal Studios in the most epic battle in history, not really, but they prove that, hey, this is what this means, and there's no and if or buts about it. And they bring in an arcade game, Donkey Kong, to the courtroom, and the judge is like, yo, pew, 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 and that's the sound of the plumber, you know what I mean? And so they bring it in, and they kind of realize, like, Universal Studios is just trying to money grab at this point. So they're like, no, hey, you can't do that. And they win. So when they win, what do they do for old Johnny boy? I'll tell you exactly what they do. So John, hold up. Put some color on that. So John Kirby saved the future of video games, because video games weren't big then, and they realized that if they had destroyed everything over a huge cash grab, that it wouldn't have set the precedent for everything coming in after. Let me tell you what I mean, everything coming in and after. What's that little dude running in Donkey Kong? That little dude is the, what's his name? Jumpman. That's what his name is. Jumpman. And eventually becomes Super Mario, the biggest and the first claymation for the Nintendo Power magazine that I am subscribed to. And the first idea of 3D, because 2D was the only thing back then. So someone actually physically made this out of clay to put it on the cover. And then, what happens when you get your boy Super Mario popping off? Spin-off. And also, we need something to compete. Who competes? Your boy Sega coming in real fast! Sonic! Ugh! John Kirby, who unfortunately passed away last year, helped the future of video games. And I feel like that's a name more people should know. This is Kirby taking everything back. It's Sly Cooper, totally different. But not taking no shit from no one. What's up? I hope you enjoyed this. Sorry I forgot like all of my facts. The only reason I'm doing this is no reason of wasting things, when we can just add this and I can get kind of a cool orange pigment. You feel me? So, thank you guys for watching. I'll try to do more when I'm not so freaking awkward, you know? But we do with what we got, you know? Adios! Have a wonderful day.